Hey there, bookworms. So I'm assuming you chose this video because you're interested in this book. And let me just tell you, it is very interesting. I've read quite a few of Freida McFadden's books at this point, and this one's probably my favorite. Top 3 at the very least, but it's so weird and it's so good. So I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. It's not even that it's a big book, it's just that we've got a lot of time jumps. We're going from one character and then 3 years later, which would be present day, to another character. So we're going to go and do a little back and forth, get a snack or a water, or if you're going to fall asleep, you will fall asleep. So I'm gonna give you like a brief synopsis of the book, and if it sounds really interesting and you don't want to hear me tell you all the spoilers and from start to finish the book, then you can get up out of here, but I hope you stay. So I'm gonna just jump right into the synopsis with no spoilers. Trisha and Ethan are newlyweds and they've been on the hunt for their forever home. They haven't had any luck until they find this beautiful, massive home outside of New York City in Westchester. They're both from the city. So this just seems so perfect, at some point they want to have kids and do the whole thing, right? So they get out there, and the weather's like kind of bad on the way there, but they think it's fine. Once they're out there, they're like, oh, we can't drive in this. This is like a crazy blizzard. So they end up getting down, get inside, they find a key outside, and when they're inside is when they start to realize who this house belonged to. This house belonged to Dr. Adrian Hale, who is a really successful, beautiful, famous psychiatrist that went missing 3 years prior to that day. And they kind of notice that there's a little odd things going on in the house. Trisha snoops around and she ends up finding like a lot of cassette tapes. These are recordings because Dr. Hale would see her patients in her house. And the thing about Dr. Hale is that they don't really know what happened to her. She disappeared, but it's just kind of presumed that she's dead, given that it's been 3 years, and with her success and with all of that, like, why hasn't she, resurfaced at all? Even just a body, nothing. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Trisha starts like piecing things together. She's trying to figure out if anybody that, one of the patients or anybody close to Dr. Hale had anything to do with her disappearance, and that's sort of where the story starts to unravel. So if that sounds really interesting, stay so I can tell you the whole thing, or get out of here and go get the book, because it is so cool and I loved it so much. So I'm just gonna jump right into the story. Okay, I did make notes because I haven't read this book in a while and there was some things I kind of forgot, and I just wanted to get the story. So if I'm looking over here, that's all I'm doing, but you don't need to watch me, you just need to listen. All right, so the prologue starts with Dr. Adrian, and she's going over like how good she is at detecting lies, right? She says that most machines, like lie detectors and such, they have a 25% chance at failure, and she does not. She can tell by it, if you're in person, right? She can tell by a tone, fidgeting, things you'll do with your eyes. Just, she says everybody lies and everybody has a tell. Everybody has a tell, sorry. It's about this psychological experiment. A researcher put up a vending machine, right? And this vending machine has a malfunction. So you put in your dollar, you select the candy, and then after you get the candy, the dollar will come back out. There's a sign on here that says, if malfunction, call this number, and that number is obviously for the researcher. My cat is eating, sorry if you can hear that. So she ends up talking about this study, right? And there's dozens of people that do this. They put their dollar in. Some people take one piece, some people take several, and none of them call. Nobody calls the number. So that's just like one of her little anecdotes that she puts in there throughout the book. She kind of adds in a little more studies and just like other little things that she finds interesting. And it is interesting. So cut to present day, right? That's the prologue. So cut to present day. We've got Trisha and Ethan, and they're in the car, and this is when we find out they've only been married for 6 months, and they were only together for 9 months prior. Like, it was one of those like love at first sight things. Trisha is just like really in love with him. Like, she just stares at him, and you can just tell they've still got like that whole honeymoon phase. It hasn't stopped. So she feels like they're getting lost, and the GPS is like not working. It's taking them everywhere, and she's kind of getting a little nervous because like now the snow is really coming down, and they're in this little like sports car, like a little BMW. So when they finally find the house, it's like really secluded. It's got a long driveway, like it's a massive house. And Ethan's just like, wow, like I can't believe this is in our price range. Like, this couldn't be more perfect. So they end up having to park further because they can't like make it in, and it's gonna take about 15 minutes or so for them to even like get through all the snow. So this is when we learn that Trisha is not dressed like at all for the weather. Like, she didn't think it was gonna get that bad. As they're approaching the house, it looks like there's lights on upstairs, and they're like, oh, Judy, the realtor, she must be here, anticipating our arrival. So they get there, they kind of knock, nothing. They ring the doorbell, nothing. And this is when they start like looking around, like under like potted plants and like whatever, like just like moving things around. They're like, here's a key. So they let themselves in, and it's kind of weird because the whole first floor is like dark, like there's no light. And they're like, well, you would think that Judy would like, would have at least set up. And the more that they're looking around, they see that there's so much dust, like not just like a day or a little bit of dust, like a layer of dust, like nothing's been touched in forever. So they're like, okay, it's kind of weird, right? And they get the lights on, they're kind of walking around like, hello, is anybody in here? They're looking for somebody because, they know that they saw lights on. Nobody answers them. And this is when they see this like massive portrait, like this huge painting on the wall. And the woman is, she's beautiful. She looks like she's in her early to mid 30s. She's got this beautiful like reddish hair, beautiful green eyes, like just it's striking, that's how they describe it. The painting, that's when it's like, that girl looks a little familiar. But they keep walking around, they keep wandering through the house. Trisha sees the bookcase, and she grabs one of the books, and it's The Anatomy of Fear, written by Dr. Adrian Hill. And that's when it's like, oh, that's her on the wall. Her book is here. This is her house. Like, and now Trisha's a little freaked out because this woman's like disappearance was all over the news. When she disappeared, her book, The Anatomy of Fear, it was, I think, like number 8 or something on the charts. And then because of her disappearance, it went to number 1. Now, the reason that people were so intrigued by this, aside from a missing woman, that's kind of interesting all on its own. People want to know what's going on. But she wrote that book, The Anatomy of Fear, and in the book, it was about her patients that had survived like severe trauma. One of the main characters of the book is like, it's a real person, but she's obviously not using their real names. It was about a girl that had experienced like an attack, right? So it was her, the patient, her boyfriend, and 2 of their friends were attacked in a cabin, like a remote cabin. And only this one girl made it out. She was all cut up, and it was really bad. This guy had a knife. So like the cover of the book has the knife. She's writing about these people and their experiences, and then look what happens to her while the book is on the charts. It just come out. So Trisha's got this book in her hand, and she's just like kind of creeped out, you know, with just being in this woman's house, right? And nobody actually knows what happened to her. So at this point, Trisha's like all creeped out. She's holding the book, looking at the knife, thinking about Dr. Hale, looking at the portrait. Like it all just starts to feel very like unsettling. And Ethan's like, hey, that's that doctor, right? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, wasn't she killed by her boyfriend? And, you know, Trisha's like, well, we don't know that she's dead. Like, we don't actually know what happened to her. Ethan's like, well, yeah, but like, she's been gone forever. Like, what do you think happened to her? So she's just like, whatever, let's find Judy. It's just like, So they just keep wandering around the house, kind of just waiting around for Judy, looking at, you know, different rooms and stuff. So next chapter, Adrian, Dr. Hale. She's in her house, and all this is going back 3 years, right? So Adrian's at home, and she sees a car pull up, and it's Paige, her editor. And technically, like, she doesn't really like know Paige or like care for her really. She's just been working with her because Paige works for the agency. So it's not like they're friends, but I mean, they've been working together for a while. So Paige gets there and she's like, I couldn't find your place. You're out here all alone. This is kind of weird. Like, don't you feel so scared out here? And Adrian's like, yeah, whatever. But Adrian actually like turned off her microcell tower and the Wi-Fi and stuff. So she's like telling us, the reader, like, I want her full attention. This chick is like always on her phone, and I just want her to give me my proof, right? She's bringing me the book, and I put so much work into it over these last 2 years. Like, I just want my book. So Paige comes in and she's making all these remarks like, oh, you live out here by yourself and you don't even have any kids and no husband. And you can just tell Adrian's like, dude, whatever, like, who cares? So it's funny because like you kind of start to see who like Dr. Adrian is. Like, she can be a little shady. And when Paige is like throwing all that stuff at her, just like, oh, you're here alone or whatever, Dr. Adrian's like, yeah, you have a little mascara in your eye. It's like right there, like some mascara goop. And she just like gives her these little, you know, she throws it at her. Her and Paige kind of go back and forth a bit, and Paige gives her the manila envelope containing that, and then that's it. Like, Dr. Adrian's just like, okay, get out of here. She's sitting in the moment. She's really proud of herself. You know, she can't believe that she finally finished this book, and it's just like a really sweet moment for her, and she's taking it all in, right? So now we're gonna go back to Trisha. Trisha and Ethan have been kind of wandering around, waiting around for like 2 hours at this point. They're like, we can't get out of here. Clearly Judy's not coming. Like, let's try to find something to eat. And Trisha's like, this house hasn't been lived in 3 years. Like, what do you think we're gonna find? Oddly enough, they find sandwich meat and like food, and it's not expired. Like, it's got like a couple weeks left. And Trisha's like, well, this is kind of weird, right? Like, all right. And Ethan's just trying to be really logical about it all. Like, maybe it was just Judy, right? Like, Judy's leaving food here for people, or maybe she offers them sandwiches or whatever. Like, we don't know. So they're kind of just eating and talking, and Trisha sees something on the counter. She sees a glass, and the glass has like tap water in it, and there's still condensation on the glass. Like, clearly this just happened. And Ethan's just like, well, maybe Judy was here earlier. And he's just not really like buying into the fact that there might be a squatter or just somebody in the house. But given the circumstances that like this woman like disappeared, like Trisha's just like, I don't like this. Like, this all feels so gross and weird. Trisha's like, Ethan, you need to like search the house. There's gotta be a squatter in here. Like, stop being like that. Like, stop just trying to write everything off. So he's like, fine. So they're going through the house, and this is when Trisha finds the office. So she goes into the office and she sees something kind of ancient for Trisha, a tape recorder. It's not ancient for me, but for Trisha it is, right? So Trisha sees it and she opens the tape recorder, and there's nothing in there. And she's like, well, I mean, I guess the police would have taken it, right? Like, why would anything be here? Okay, so back to Adrienne. So Adrienne's in her office and she's going through her emails, and she sees one from Paige. It's where she kind of broke up with Paige. She told her that, like, I don't want to work with you anymore, and it's the response. So Paige is just kind of like, oh, I thought that we could work together in the future, and I'm sorry that you didn't, that you didn't enjoy working with me or whatever, right? And this is another one of like Adrienne's little tidbits. So Adrienne says that the brain actually registers rejection the same way that it registers pain in some ways. That under like an MRI scan, that you can see like different parts of the brain activating during pain and during rejection, and that it goes back to our tribal ancestors, like hunter and gatherers, because when somebody would get exiled from like the tribe, that was a death sentence. Like, you probably weren't going to be able to survive out in the wild by yourself. So I thought that was kind of interesting, right? But anyway, she has another email, and it's from Susan Jameson. Susan Jameson is the mother of one of her patients, and she's just thanking her and saying, thank you for what you've been able to do for my son. And then we were introduced to EJ. So EJ, he's because you also kind of get, like, when she introduces somebody, like, you're gonna get their recording, one of their recordings. So EJ, he's been a patient for 2 years, and she diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder. He thinks he's smarter than everybody. He's just narcissist, but like a real one. He's not just one of those guys that like broke up with you and that's it. Now he's a narcissist. Like, no, this is like a real medical condition, right? So in the recording, Dr. Adrian's like, hey, so how did that interview go? So he responds, it's like, it was great. They loved me, of course. He said, but I don't know, like, I can't work with stupid people all day. I don't want to be around stupidity all the time. And I'm just so much smarter than everybody there, like, even my boss. So, like, this is just goes to show you what kind of person he thinks he is, or what kind of person he is, right? And just like the way that he thinks. I'm back to the email now, and his mom can't pay anymore. Like, she's thanking her, she's saying, I can't do it. So this is kind of like Adrienne's way out. Like, she's so happy that she doesn't have to see this guy anymore because she just never liked him. Back to Trisha and Ethan. So Trisha and Ethan, they finish the food, and it's just like so freezing cold in the house. So Ethan's like, look, wait here, I'm gonna go and figure out like how to get the heater on, because like clearly there's electricity, so there's got to be heat, right? So he said, just stay down here, I'll be right back. So now we're like listening to Trisha's thoughts, and she's just like, my husband is so great, like everything about him, like he's handling the situation so well, and he's always taking care of me. And she's like reflecting on like him or whatever, and she's like kind of talking about how her friends would always say like he's kind of weird, or like I don't really like him. And she's just like, so what? Because Ethan didn't really have girlfriends. Like, he's not had a lot of girlfriends, he doesn't have a lot of friends. His parents are both dead, they died in an accident, and like he doesn't want to talk about it. And she's just like, okay, like, yeah, there's some secrets, but he treats me so good that he can't be a red flag. And she's like, and I kind of like that I don't really have to compete with other people in his life. Like, he works, he takes care of her, and that's it. Like, they're just together, and she's just really happy with this man. So Trisha gets up, she goes to the bathroom, and she's like, oh my gosh, I look a mess. And this is when we find out she's like a very pretty girl and a blonde, and she's like, I don't even look good for my man right now because I'm such a mess. It's so cold in this house and whatever, right? So she's just kind of talking about that. And then she starts wandering around, and she's looking at the bookshelves, and she sees that they're all just like medical books, psychology books, kind of boring. And she notices one of the bookshelves, and it's got like all the paperback novels and like that kind of stuff. She's like, okay, cool, like something I like. And she's looking at everything and she's like, well, I've read a lot of these or whatever. Kind of like looking and she's like, ah, The Shining, like, look at The Shining. She goes to reach for it and it's kind of like stuck. Like, she's like, that's weird. She pulls on it and there's like a latch, like she hears like a click. And when she opens it and she opens the secret door, really, that's when she notices, like, oh my gosh, like thousands of tape recordings, all against the wall. She's kind of noticing, like, there's a system here. Like, system, the first one's in blue, and then they've got like its initials and a number, which is like the initials of the patient and, you know, which recording. So that first one's in blue, and then they're all in black, and the last one will be in red. So I guess when, you know, patients kind of finish out their services with her, and she sees PL, she's like, that's the girl from The Anatomy of Fear. So she's immediately like, I want to listen, right? And she doesn't want to say anything to Ethan because he's kind of like that guy. Like, she's afraid he's going to be like, no, that's none of your business, and we should turn all this over to the police. Like, she's just kind of like, I don't even want to like tell him anything. I just want to secretly see what's going on. So she does, and then she kind of like hides it, right? And by this point, Ethan's already in the living room and he's like, hey, I got the heat going, but like this space is so big, like this house is massive. He's like, so it's probably gonna take a little while. Why don't you like come and relax? And she's like, all right, cool. And he has some wine. And this is when you're like, okay, something's up, because she's like, oh, I have to tell him I can't drink it. I can't drink it. And it's kind of weird, but she just like pretends to drink it a little bit. And while they're sitting there, she tells Ethan, like, I really hate that portrait. Like, I feel like her eyes are just watching me. Like, I just don't like it. Like, it's making me uncomfortable. And then knowing that this woman like disappeared, it's just kind of weird. So Ethan takes it off the wall and he turns it around and he puts like it, like the eyes and like the face would be facing the wall, right? So she's like, all right, whatever, like, fine, whatever. And he tells her, like, I'm gonna go take a shower. And she's just like, dude, in somebody else's house. Like, and he's just kind of like, well, it's gonna be our house. And she's thinking, like, no, it's not. I don't like it here. This house is super creepy. But nonetheless, he goes to take a shower. And that's when she's like, well, I guess I could listen to PL's tape. PL's tape is dated 6 years prior to present day, right? And she's a 25-year-old patient experiencing PTSD after surviving like this horrible attack. And what happened was, it was PL, her boyfriend Cody, which was her fiance actually, they were supposed to get married, and her two really good friends, Alexis and Megan. So while they're like at this cabin, it had been like really rainy, so they were kind of just like hanging out inside. They were smoking a little bit and drinking a little bit, and everybody was just like having fun or whatever. And then they all went to bed. And PL wakes up because she hears Cody like screaming. She describes this man standing over him with a knife, and the man like smelled like wet dog and like rotten food, or like just something rotten. And it was just terrifying. Well, he did end up stabbing PL in the stomach, and she managed to get away somehow or another. And like she just like ran through, like, I guess wherever she could to find the main road. She ends up finding a main road and like flagging down some people that get her help, and that's how she was able to survive. But the guy was never caught. And Adrian's just kind of like, look, we have a lot of work to do. This is gonna take some time, but we will get there. Like, you are gonna make progress at some point. And you know, PL's just kind of like, well, thanks, Doc, but like, I don't know, like, I'm afraid to leave the house, and it's just, this man and I were supposed to get married. Like, I don't know what to do. And so they kind of just, you know, talk or whatever throughout the session. So now Ethan's out of the shower, and Trisha's just like, Ethan, what are we gonna do? Like, there's so much snow, like there's no way that we're getting out of here, and what if nobody finds us, and what if we're stuck? He's like, calm down, your mom and your sister know that you're not answering the phone. Like, we don't have any service. Like, it's fine. Just, they're gonna look for you. We're gonna get out of here at some point. Somebody's gonna come over here. Judy knows we're coming. They're gonna like get the snow out of the driveway. Like, it's gonna be fine. And she's like, whatever. So then I'm just going to sleep. Well, if you haven't gathered already, from like the no drinking of the wine, Trish is pregnant, but she hasn't told her husband because she's afraid of how he's going to handle it, right? So she has to pee, right? So she gets up, she goes to the bathroom, and she can't go back to sleep. So she's like, well, guess it's time to listen to some more tapes. Decides to listen to EJ because she's looking at the dates and she's like, I think this guy was seeing Dr. Hale at the time of her disappearance. Like, something about this doesn't feel right. And what was even weirder is that, remember, the system, the red label indicates that this was the last session. Well, there's a few more and they're in black. So now Trisha's like, well, why was she seeing him if they'd already stopped their sessions? So we're listening to EJ's last session, right? And he's not happy about it, clearly. But first he starts off with like, hey, Doc, I brought you that gift. And she's like, well, thank you. And it's a bottle of wine from South Africa. It's like really old. I mean, it's a good bottle, right? So he's just kind of like making little remarks about how he's like, well, look at all this expensive furniture in this big house and all of your success. I guess you don't really need my South African wine. And she's like, well, you can take it. I mean, that's fine. Don't worry about it. And he's like, no, like, I want you to have it. And she's like, look, EJ, you're not going to be seeing me anymore because your mom stopped the payments 2 months ago. I think this is going to have to be the end of it. And he's like, well, what's the problem? Like, why can't you just see me? You don't take insurance. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't afford this. She's like, don't worry about it. I have a colleague that does take your insurance and I'm going to send you over there. He's like, no, I want to stay here. And she's like, it's not going to happen, EJ. And he's just kind of being a jerk. So he's like, my parents only give me so much money a month and that's for my bills. Like, I can't do this. My mom was supposed to be paying. She's like, well, she's not paying anymore, EJ, and this is over. Like, if you can't pay, then, I can't see you. And he's like, oh, so this is just about money? Like, you don't care? She's like, no, but my other patients do pay. Like, I can't do this with you. And he tells her, he's like, well, fine, whatever. He's like, I wouldn't come back if you begged me, and one day you will beg me. And it's just like the tone of his voice, and he's just kind of creepy, right? So Trisha hears it. She like turns the tape off, and she's just like, ugh. Then Trisha's like reflecting on the bottle of wine. She's like, that's the wine we drink. Well, she didn't, right? But Ethan did. So she ends up going back into the secret room and getting more tapes because now she's just like really wanting to know like what's going on with EJ. Why did she continue to see him after he was threatening her? Like, this doesn't make any sense. At some point she hears like some noise, like a really loud noise, and she's like, She like grabs some scissors from the desk and she's like walking around like she's convinced there's another person in the house with them. And she's just like, I don't know what to think, like, whatever. But she keeps walking through the house and then she sees the portrait, Dr. Hale's portrait, the one that Ethan like took down and was facing the wall. It's up again, like it's fully up. She's like, hell no. So she runs upstairs, like, Ethan. He's like, oh my gosh, but he's already up because he heard the crash. So he's like, what's going on? And they kind of like, bump into each other. And she's like, the painting, it's moved. And he's like, yeah, I moved it. She's like, you moved it? He's like, yes. Like, come on, let's go to bed. What's wrong with you? She's like, okay, whatever. So she's freaked out, but like she ends up falling asleep because she's just like so exhausted. Now, Adrian's story. Adrian's like in a rush because she had been like reading her book and just kind of sitting with it at this, she doesn't stop looking at her book, right? Understandably so. So she's trying to get to the Bronx, right? She lives in Westchester, so she's trying to get out there, and she's just driving super fast, and she feels really bad if she's late to any of her patients. And the reason she's trying to go to the Bronx is because this is where she volunteers. So she feels like these patients, like, not that they need her more, but she knows that they don't have the money like her other private patients, and she just wants to help, right? So she gets there and she's like been circling the parking lot looking for a parking space, and she only has like 2 minutes or something to like get inside. And she finally finds a space, so she's kind of setting herself up to get in and park. And this like guy in a Jetta just like cuts in front of her and parks, and she's like, hey, like you saw me, going in there. And she kind of honks at him. She's like, hey. He throws her the finger and like walks inside. Like he did not even have any regards to like, apologize or anything. And she's just really frustrated because she's like, my patience, man, like I'm not just upset about this spot, I'm just trying to get in. So whatever. She goes inside, and she sees Gloria, which is just like an employee there in the clinic. And Gloria's like, hey, you're whatever, this guy rescheduled, so you have 5 minutes till the next one. And now Adrian's like even more annoyed because she's like, well, I wish someone would have called me and I wouldn't have been rushing and arguing with people in the parking lot, right? Or not even arguing, but just like she wouldn't be this upset. So that's whenever we're introduced to Luke, right? She sees Luke and he's the tech guy. So this whole like this facility, like they don't have a lot of money, it's in the city, like it's very hard for them to get anything at that clinic. So Adrian had donated some money so that they could go from paper filing systems to computers, because for years and years and years they've just been using the paper system. So that's what Luke's doing there. He's not like a private contractor, he works for an agency, so he's like there setting all of that up, right? And you can kind of see Luke is like, I guess, a little interested in her because she's like so pretty and so successful and stuff, right? So he ends up asking her, oh, do you live in Manhattan? And Gloria answers for Adrian, and she's like, no, she lives all by herself up in Westchester. He's like, Westchester? He's like, well, do you have a security system? She's like, no, I don't really need one. And he's like, oh, I just, installed one for my mom. Like, let me know if you ever need anything. She's like, yeah, whatever. Back to Trisha. Trisha wakes up and she's kind of like got that feeling where like you forget where you are, right? Because she's in somebody else's house. So she wakes up like, oh, what's going on? And she sees that Ethan left like this cute little note. He's like, I'm downstairs making you breakfast and whatever, right? So she goes downstairs and the smell of eggs like hits her. I mean, she's pregnant, so she's like, ugh. So this is when she finally tells Ethan, she's like, babe, I can't eat that. Like, I'm pregnant and it's disgusting. And she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was taking the birth control. It's just that when I got that respiratory infection and like messed up my sinuses and I was on antibiotics, like it just did something to the birth control and that just didn't work. And surprisingly for her, Ethan is like so happy. He's so excited. He's like, I thought that you wanted to wait. That's why I said I didn't want any kids, but I'm so ready and I love you. And it's just, that moment where she was like, oh, I've been so worried about this for like almost 2 weeks now, because it's how long she's known. And she's like, but fine, like this is what we're doing. And they're just having a moment, right? So after that, they're just kind of like sitting around eating whatever she can actually stomach. And she mentions the painting, and he's like, what about it? And she's like, look, like, something about him moving. And he's like, Trisha, I meant like I moved it when you and I were downstairs and you saw me take it off the wall. She's like, it's back up. So she's like, go over there, Ethan. Like, it's back up. Like, I didn't do that. And the thing is that he's just always so logical that he's just like, well, maybe I put it back. I don't remember. And she's like, well, did you or didn't you? So that's kind of their back and forth. And Trisha's just so over it at this point. And Ethan's like, look, I'm gonna walk to the car. Remember, it's parked further away. It's not like right outside the house. He's like, he goes, I'm gonna go to the car. I'm gonna grab my laptop and see if like I can just get any work done or just do anything I need to do, right? And she's like, like, don't leave me here by myself. He's like, it's 15 minutes. She's like, it's 15 minutes there and 15 minutes back, maybe longer. So he's like, look, I'm just gonna go and do that. Stay here, please. She wants to come. He's like, look at your shoes. Like, look at your clothes. Now that Trisha's got some time, she's like, I'm gonna go listen to another tape. And she's listening to GW this time, which is a lady named Gail. She's a 68-year-old widow, and she's experiencing like paranoid delusions, and she's just afraid of everything. So Gail is not taking her medication, and Adrian's like, why not? She's like, well, the pharmacist wants to kill me. He's gonna poison me. Adrian's like, no, he's not doing that. Like, why do you think that? Remember when you thought the mailman was gonna kill you? And Gail's like, yeah, he would stand outside and just be there, and he would come all the time. Like, don't you think that's kind of weird? She's like, well, no, he was delivering your mail. Of course he's gonna come at the same time because, you know, it's his route or whatever. And Gail's like, no, no, no. And my son, he's gonna kill me too. She's like, your son isn't gonna kill you. And she's like, yes, he is. Like, he's gonna get so much money from the life insurance that he'd rather me be dead. So Adrian's like, okay, she gets a text. She looks down at the text and it's EJ. And she's like, Gail, we're gonna have to wrap this up. I'm gonna get back with you later, but I have a family emergency, or have an emergency or something. So now you're seeing what it is, but Trisha doesn't know this part because she cut off the recording. So Dr. Adrian sees that EJ sent her a video, and the video is of her that day at the clinic, that guy that cut her off and like took her parking space and everything. Dr. Adrian got out of her car and slashed his tires. And the thing is that in this video, it's so clear it's her. Like, you see her face, you see the license plate on the Jetta. Like, it can't be doctored, it's not fake. Like, this is her. Like, she did this. So now she's like, oh my gosh, you know, like, what do I do? So she opens the video and she sees it. Like, she's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even want to look at this. So she just replies and she's like, what do you want? And he's like, open the door. So she's like, oh my God, right? So she opens the door, it's EJ in. And this is when she's like talking about EJ in her mind, about like how much she doesn't like him, and she's always had like bad vibes from him. And he has the tell for him is a little twitch under his right eye. Like, she can always tell when he's lying or he's about to lie or whatever, right? So now she's gonna record this session. Like, what do you want? He's like, I'm just bored. I'm bored with everything. I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, why don't you get a job, right? So he's like refusing to get a job. He's like, well, who cares? Like, why would I need a job? Whenever my parents die, I'm gonna get all this money. And she's like, you want to wait for that? Like, why don't you just want to do something while they're alive and, you know, make them proud? He's like, no. He's, that'd be really weird, right? Like, if they were just like driving and had an accident. She's like, why would, you know, like, why would you say that? He's like, I don't know. Maybe the brakes are gonna be faulty or something's gonna happen. I don't know. So Dr. Hell's just kind of like, ugh, right? This is gross. He tells her, you know, I want to tell you about my fantasy and like what I want. It's like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess go for it. It's your session. So he tells her, he's like, I would love to go to a casino. And when I'm there, a beautiful woman just approaches me. She doesn't say a word. She doesn't say anything. She just like gets a drink and like slides it over to me. And I drink it. And then she goes upstairs with me to my room and we do the thing. And then she leaves and that's it. But now Dr. Hell's just like, okay, like, look, EJ, like, we're really not getting anywhere this session. It's not helping you. Nothing I can do, like, helps you. Like, I'm gonna refer you to my colleague. He's like, no, 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 no. I want you. That's kind of the end of the recording, and it's just really gross. Like, it just feels gross. Now we're back to Trisha, right? And she's just kind of like, what? Like, what is this? Like, Was he blackmailing her? Like, did something happen? Like, he just showed up out of the blue. Like, all this just seems really weird, right? Ethan's like standing there in the doorway, and she's like, ah, hey, what's up? He's like, what are you doing in here? And she's like, well, I just thought I'd start working on my resume. Like, we don't really have anything else to do. And this is when you find out she's been unemployed for like ever at this point, like at least 6 months. So she was working for an online magazine, but like around the time she was seeing Ethan, it just fizzled out. Something happened and she didn't have her job anymore. And so she was gonna look for another one, but then she ends up like getting married and going on her honeymoon. She's like, I'm not gonna look for jobs on my honeymoon. And she just got really comfortable, but Ethan didn't really seem to care. Ethan's like, okay, well, good for you or whatever, but you know, I guess like you don't really need to work. And she's like, no, I just want to work on it. He's like, fine. He leaves. So cut to Adrian. So Adrian's back at the clinic in the Bronx, and she's talking to Gloria. She's, you know, whatever, exchanging pleasantries. And Gloria's like, hey, you got a present. And it's like flowers and chocolates and a little note. And already Adrian's like, oh, like this better not be EJ, right? It's not. It's another patient. And Adrian just feels really good because she's like, this is like why I do it, you know? There was a little note attached, and the note was just very sweet and heartfelt or whatever. So Adrian's just feeling like, you know what? Like, I need to be here for these people, right? So she ends up finding Luke, and she tells Luke, like, hey, remember, like, you suggested that security system? He's like, well, yeah, but for, like, a house the size of yours, you know, just after Gloria, like, told him everything about this girl Adrian's house. He's like, I think you need, like an actual security team to go out there. She's like, I already bought a bunch of stuff. Just come and install it and show me what to do. Like, can you come? And he's like, yeah, of course. Like, I'll be there. It's fine. So while he's there, he sees her book. He says, like, I couldn't help but see this must be your book. And she's like, yeah, you know, it's about my patients and just the things that they survived. Um, and she starts telling him about PL. She's like, you know, PL suffered something really bad, the cabin incident. And she's like, and, you know, I've just really been trying to help her, and I think it's working. And she's got some normalcy to her life now. She, you know, she moved to the city. Like, she's doing good. He's like, well, don't you think it's kind of weird that like you're recording these people? She's like, well, in New York, it's not illegal. Like, I can record somebody without their consent. Like, it doesn't matter. So he's like, oh, okay. You know, like he's flirting with her, and he's like, why don't you give me a session? Luke Strauss, a 36-year-old man, previously married, his wife passed away, and he doesn't really want to get into it. So they kind of keep the flirting going, and then they take it to the bedroom. And after that, they go downstairs, they're eating and just kind of hanging out, chit-chatting a bit, but Adrian likes him and he clearly likes her, but she kind of has like these little intimacy issues and stuff. So she's like, I kind of want you to leave, and he laughs and he's like, all right, whatever, I'm getting out of here. So he takes off, and she thinks like, all right, maybe this guy, you know, the tech guy, he'll know what to do, because while they're chatting, he kind of tells her that he used to hack when he was a kid, but he got into some trouble. But as a minor, like he didn't get into that much trouble. So she's like, well, maybe he can help me with this. Like, and it won't be that big of a deal. It'll just be a couple buttons and whatever. So that's that. Over to Trisha. So Trisha hears like the flirting and all that, and she's like, man, like this guy couldn't have killed her. Like, that's so weird, but okay, whatever. Well, she's kind of wandering through the house at this point. She sees a string. She's like, the attic. I completely forgot about the attic. When she pulls down the string, she's like expecting there to be like a person, and to her surprise, there's no one. It's just like regular like Christmas ornaments and just things that Dr. Adrian had up there, right? So she's looking around and everything, and that's when she sees a sleeping bag that is not covered in dust and a pillow. She's like, someone's here. She gets down, she's panicking. She runs to tell Ethan. She's like, Ethan, like, look, this happened. And he's like, look, it's not that weird to have a sleeping bag in the attic. Like, maybe she just had her crap up there. And she's like, no, you don't get it. I'm scared. And he's like, look, you're pregnant. You haven't eaten much, and it's freezing in this house. Like, you need to go put on something. She's like, I'm not gonna wear this woman's clothes. He's like, just please, like, you're not thinking clearly, you're paranoid. So she's like, well, maybe I am. She's going through her closet and she's like, oh my gosh, like the most beautiful clothes, whatever. She finds this cashmere sweater and it's so pretty, and she's like, I'm gonna wear it. And you kind of just like see, she's like, we're like the same size. Like, all of this just feels so weird. Now let's go back to Adrian. So now with Adrian, like, Luke has just been coming over all the time. They're really enjoying each other's company. She finally like kind of gathered what happened to his wife, or ex-wife at this point. He's a widower. His wife was his college sweetheart and she died in a car accident, and like that's it. He just doesn't really want to talk about it. He kind of just shuts down anytime she brings it up. So she kind of stops bringing it up. This night they hear the doorbell and it's EJ, but Adrian's just like, I don't want to deal with this right now, and I don't want Luke to see him, and it becomes this whole thing. So she tells Luke's like, I'll go get the door for you. She's like, no, it's fine. It's one of my patients. Like, he has a boundary issue. And he's like, well, I'll tell him something. I'll let him know that he can't be doing that. She's like, no, please, just let him get the hint. Well, then her phone, it's blowing up. It's EJ. And he's like, so you're in there with your boyfriend? Like, what's going on? Whatever. And she's like, dude, stop. Like, what do you want? And he's like, I want to see you. And she's like, you can come over tomorrow morning. So they agree that he's going to come over at 10 a.m. So now EJ's there and he's kind of just trying to like get Dr. Adrian to write him a prescription for narcotics, like Oxycontin or something. And she's like, I'm not doing that. Like, I can't. I could lose my license. Like, I can only write prescriptions for psychiatric drugs, like not narcotics, not these painkillers. Like, this doesn't go with like my license. And he's like, well, guess that video, that would be pretty bad for your license too. So he's just dangling it over her head, and she's like, fine, whatever. She ends up writing him a prescription for like less than what he wanted, but they just like negotiate. So back to Trisha. So Trisha and Ethan are talking, and she's like, what about the baby? Like, try to focus on something more positive other than like her fear and paranoia that somebody's squatting in the house. So she's like, if we have a girl, I want to name her after your mom. And if we have a boy, we should name him after your dad because he passed away. And he's just like real weirded out. He's like, look, I didn't know them that well. We're not doing any of that. And she's just kind of frustrated because she's like, why don't you tell me anything? Like, why is it this big secret? Like, I'm your wife, we're gonna have a baby, but she doesn't really push it. She just kind of leaves it alone and she tells him like, well, how are we gonna get out of here? What are we gonna do? It's like, well, I think we're gonna have to stay another night, Trisha. She's like, another night? Like, no, like, I don't want to be here. It's so weird. And that's when he's like, well, we're gonna live here one day. It's gonna be our home. And she's just like, oh, I don't really want that. PL number 138, the 27-year-old experiencing PTSD. She comes in with this massive portrait of Dr. Hale. She's like, hey, Dr. Hale, my mother is a commissioned artist and she really wanted to do this for you because you've helped me so much. And Dr. Hale's like, okay, like this is a lot. But she's like, well, all right, thank you. And she's like, and PL's like, look, you don't have to put it up. You can throw it away. I just wanted to give it to you because she told me I had to give it to you. She's like, no, I'm gonna put it up. Like, thank you so much. It's very sweet of her. Like, just thank her for me, and I love it. And PL's like, Dr. Hale, you look kind of like pale. Like something's going on. Like you're zoning out a lot. Is everything okay? Dr. Adrian's like, no, everything's fine. Whatever. Adrian and Luke are looking at the portrait, and they're just kind of talking about it, and they're going back and forth. He's like, well, I think it's beautiful just like you, and he's just being very sweet about it, just like, it's kind of weird, whatever. Now Luke, he just drops the I love you on her. He's like, I've been loving you, like whatever. And Adrian's kind of like feeling just like, I don't know, it's hurting her chest, and she just starts crying, and he's like, oh my gosh. She's like, look, I'm sorry, if you don't want me to say it, I won't say it. She's like, no, you just don't understand, this is what's going on. And she tells him about EJ, and he's like, well, what can we do about it? She's like, nothing. Like, he's holding this over my head. He has a video of me, and I don't want to tell you what's on it. I need you to hack into his phone, his computer, whatever, and just erase this video. And he doesn't want to do it. He's like, look, this I could get in a lot of trouble. And she's like, please, like, you don't understand. And this could ruin my life. And I just put out my book and whatever, or the book's about to come out. And he's like, all right, you know what? Fine. So he agrees to do it. Next tape, EJ 181. He comes in and he's like, hey, Dr. Hill. And she's like, hey, EJ, I see that you helped yourself to that bottle of wine. He's like, you know, that's my favorite wine. And he's just kind of like slurring and he's all loose. She tells him, oh, yeah, like, how many glasses did you have? And he's like, I don't know, I was just drinking straight out of a bottle. And then he just like goes, like, it goes silent. So Adrienne actually put some Ativan in the bottle and she's like, I don't know how much you drink, but I need to get his phone. She uses his thumb, she gets into it, she deletes the video, gets his like information or whatever, and she tells Luke, okay, go over there right now while he's here knocked out. So Luke does. He gets into this guy's house and he tells her, like, what if he has a backup? She's like, please, please, please just do it. So he does. He breaks in, he removes whatever copies are on the computer, and then he comes back. And it's just not like the same. Like, he's so irritated. He didn't want to break the law like that. And, you know, Dr. Hill is obviously excited and happy, but it's just like he really didn't want to do it. So Trisha. So now Trisha heard the tape and she's just like, that's so weird. Like, what happened? Like, EJ was like slurring and that was just kind of weird. And she just doesn't feel comfortable. Like, she keeps thinking about like all the creepiness that's going on in the house. She's stuck there. They can't get out. Like, she's just like not really feeling herself. She takes off her wedding band, right? And she's looking at the inscription that Ethan put in there and it just says Trisha and Ethan forever. And she's like, you know, I just feel comforted when I look at it. Well, then she hears a noise and she's like, ah, drops the ring and it rolls, right? So she can't get it. Like, she like runs over there. She sees it's like under the couch. She checks her flashlight on her phone. She's like, I can't find it. Like, let me go get Ethan like to help me move this couch. And she's assuming that the noise was Ethan, so she's just like, whatever. She goes upstairs. She finds him. He's like working on his computer, and she's like, hey, like, was that you? Did you go to the bathroom or something? And he's like, no, I've been in here. So she's like, well, I really need your help in the office. Like, my wedding ring rolled. And he's like, well, why would you even take it off? She's like, because I like to look at my inscription. Like, come and help me, whatever. So she sees like the attic string and she's just like, oh, like, I don't like this. So whatever, he goes down there to the office. He just like picks up the couch and it's right there. She grabs her ring, but she notices that there's something else on the floor. She knows about the secret trap door in the closet. Looks like there's another trap door. So she's like, Ethan, what do we do? And he's like, well, let's open it. She's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. He's like, seriously? Like, let's open it. Okay, well, then it jumps back to Adrienne. So now Adrienne and Luke, like, they finished wrapping up the whole EJ situation. They already got him home. Luke drove his car there. They park. They get everything settled. They take off and they start driving back to Dr. Adrienne's house. And she gets a text. It's EJ. He's like, you broke into my house. I'm going to kill you. She's like, whatever. The video's gone. I don't even care anymore. She just blocks the number and she leaves it at that. She tells Luke, like, I really want you to move in. Like, because they had like discussed at one point, like, him having a drawer. And so he had a little drawer, right? Like, with his things. And she's like, I just want you to come in. Like, I don't want to do this anymore where you leave me. Like, I want us to be together. And Luke is just so excited. He's like, yeah, of course. Like, let's do this. Back to Trisha. So Trisha and Ethan found a body. Like, there is like a person in this trap door, like in this little whatever, under the floorboards. And they can't like see who it is, but they can see that they're like wearing jeans and a shirt. And she's like, this has to be Dr. Hale. Like, somebody did something to her and put her in here in her own house, right? So she just like starts panicking and she runs outside in the freezing cold. So Ethan chases after her. He grabs her, he brings her inside. He gets a bowl of water, puts her feet in it. He's like, please just relax, like we're gonna figure this out. Once we can like get some service, we're gonna call the police, like we're gonna settle this, like just calm down. Now Adrian and Luke, they're getting groceries, like they're just living in the moment. It's already been like a week. Well, while they're at the grocery store, this is whenever Dr. Adrian runs into Gail, GW, right? And she's like, wow, she looks really good. And they kind of chat a bit. And Gail's, for once, doesn't reek of alcohol. And she tells Dr. Hale, like, hey, I talked to my son and things are kind of getting better. You know I haven't been in to see you, but it's because I actually feel a lot better. And so they're kind of talking a bit. The phone ring or the phone buzzes. And it's like this other number because EJ's blocked, right? And it's the video. He has a copy. So she's like, oh, fine. So she tells him, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? He's like, I want to see you. She's like, fine, whatever. They set it up. She makes sure that Luke won't be there, and that's that. So he goes over, and immediately Adrian's like, look, I have money. I'm gonna offer you, this much. And he's like, oh, I don't need money. He's like, my parents, they died in the car accident. And she's like, oh my gosh, like exactly what he described would happen with the brakes. Clearly she's like super freaked out at this point, right? And she's like, okay, fine, you don't need money. Do you want another prescription? He's like, no, just you. I just want to be with you. She's like, no. Well, he has a video of Luke breaking into the house. He's like, oh, really? Because I've got this other video. And she's like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly what Luke didn't want. And now I brought this upon him. Like, she's just feeling terrible at this point. Like, this is just way too much. Go back to Trisha. So Trisha and Ethan hear this like loud noise and they're like, what's going on? Trisha's got her feet in a bowl of water. They end up running into the office and there's a man in there, the squatter, right? Ethan's got a knife, right? And he's like at this guy's like face and he's like, what are you doing here? Whatever. He's like, look, man, it's just, the weather's really bad. I had nowhere to go. Like, I'll be out of here. I come in and sleep here sometimes when I have nothing and I'm homeless, whatever. But Trisha's listening and she's like, you're Luke. Like, I can hear your voice. You're Luke. And he's like, no, I'm not Luke. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm whatever. And she's like, no, that's him. Like, you're Luke. So Ethan like duct tapes him. Like, he just like duct tapes his arms, his legs, everything. Ties him up to the chair. It's like, look, Trisha, I'm gonna leave with my phone and try to get some signal somewhere. We need to call the cops. Like, we need to take care of this. And she's like, don't leave me here. He's like, look, he's like super tight, like tightly duct taped. Like, it's gonna be fine. So Trisha's like, fine, whatever. And Ethan leaves. Trisha's just like, oh my God, he's gonna get the cops and have these tapes and they're gonna say I'm tampering with evidence. Like, I need to put everything back. But she left a bunch of the tapes in the office when the whole thing with the ring, like she didn't even know this was gonna happen. So she's like, fine, like I have to go get them. She got the tapes out of the office and Luke is just trying to like get her to like untie him. And she's like, dude, no. It's like, you killed your girlfriend. And he's like, no, I didn't. I never would have done that. And that's not her in there. And she's like, what do you mean that's not her? Like, what are you talking about? Who else would it be? He's like, well, Adrian didn't wear jeans. She doesn't own any jeans. Like, that's not how she dressed. Like, that's not her. It can't be. So she's like, whatever. Well, she takes the tapes. She goes to put them back, but there's one that she just cannot let go of. And she's just like holding it in her hand. Now the tape. PL 185, number 185. PL's telling Dr. Hell, like, Dr. Hell, I'm feeling so good about life. I really don't need to see you anymore. I'm moving to Manhattan. I've got a job. She's like, I'm just so thankful for all the work that we've done here. And Dr. Hell's like, that's great. That's great, PL. Like, I'm so happy that I could help you. And she's like, but PL's telling her, but sometimes I just feel like I wish they would have caught the guy. Like, then I could really move on. And Dr. Hell tells her, oh, they're never gonna catch him. And PL's like, well, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, I guess it's just a hopeful, like, but it's been such a long time. And Dr. Hill's like, no, that's not why they're not gonna catch him. It's because he doesn't exist. PL's just like, what? She's like, yeah. She says he doesn't exist. You killed all of those people. She's like, I think that Cody was sleeping with Alexis. Megan knew about it and she was just kind of a casualty of what happened. She just kind of had to be there. She said, you're the one that did it. She goes, that's why Megan died first and it was quick. And then it was Cody. And you saved your friend for last. So PL's like, I don't have to listen to this. I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, yeah. She said, you know, that's exactly what happened. And she's like, I'm leaving. She said, I'm leaving, like, I'm taking off. And Dr. Hill's like, yeah, you're right. She said, go ahead and go. I need to call the detective and have a word with him. And PL's like, wait a minute. Like, hold on. Like, don't do anything yet. And that's when Dr. Adrian's like, I think that you can help me with something, Patricia. Yeah. So Trish is Patricia. She's been PL this entire time. Cut to Patricia. Patricia's going over like what happened, and she's saying, you know, this guy Cody was in the shower and I saw his phone. It was Alexis and he was gonna leave me for her. He was calling off our wedding. Like he was so obsessed with her and I just like couldn't take it. I couldn't take the rejection. I couldn't take the humiliation. Like none of it. So she set it all up. And she set it up so that they would go to this cabin when it was raining. Nobody would see all the footprints and like just all of the little things, right? And she describes how she did it, which is exactly like Dr. Hill said, right? She knew that she had to get rid of Megan, and she's like, I didn't like Megan anyway. Like, she's like, she was a terrible person. She always had like horrible things to say about everybody. Like, believe me, the world is not gonna miss Megan. And Alexis, like, she just hated her, so that's why she saved her for last, so that it would be the long and drawn out. Alexis is begging for her life, and she just wanted to make that one the absolute worst. Just thinking of like all the little inconsistencies and the lies and the things that she told Dr. Hale, right? And Dr. Hale had even mentioned, she's like, I knew from your first session, and so did the detective, and he just couldn't prove it. She's like, but when you're with me, I was like, here is where you messed up. That story doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. So she knew. And Patricia had even told her, like, well, why did you put me in your book? Like, why did you make it this whole thing if you knew? And she's like, well, it's a great story, Patricia. Like, I mean, come on. So cut to Adrian. So Adrian knows that, like, things with Luke are just never going to be the same. And she's kind of talking to us about, like, this is why she's doing this, because when she told Luke about like, hey, you know, EJ has this video of you and all of that, like, you know, we need to do something about this. We need to get rid of him. Luke just like walked out of her life. He's like, I don't even care what happens at this point. Like, I'm not killing someone. Like, I can't do this. So Adrian's like, I've got to do this. Like, I have to save me. I've got to save Luke. Like, it's just, this has gone way too far. She never formally diagnosed Patricia, but she knows that she has antisocial personality disorder because she has like a lack of empathy for people. She is highly intelligent. She's attractive. She's very charismatic, and she's a criminal, a highly skilled criminal at that, right? And over the course of like treating her, she's spoken with Patricia's mother, and her mother has like told her, like, poor Patricia, you know, she had like her friends would be injured and this, that, and the other had happened, and it's just always poor Patricia. Then when her grandmother died, she was like, you know, offering her condolences to Patricia, and Patricia has a tell. She crosses her right leg over her left when she's about to lie. So she had already spoken with her about that, and she called her mom to say, hey, you know, I heard about your mom, and I'm really sorry about all that. Patricia told me. She's like, yeah, and Patricia was taking care of her, and she just mixed up the meds. So Patricia got a really hefty inheritance from that, right? If it looks like I'm crying, I'm not. I just had to put in eye drops. My contacts are getting kind of dry. Okay, so Patricia killed her grandma for life insurance, and like an inheritance pretty much, right? This has further given Adrian the confidence and like, I know that Patricia can do this. So anyway, she ends up like creating this plan. She's already taken down the cameras so nobody knows that Patricia's coming and going, right? The plan was to fulfill EJ's fantasy. She has Patricia dress up, look gorgeous, go to the casino, slide the drink over, talk to him, but instead of, doing stuff with him upstairs, he was drugged. So she wraps him up in the duct tape, puts him in her car. She parks his car at like a long-term parking place where he's paid up for a month. She uses his car to do it. Everything's going according to plan. She brings EJ out there to Adrian, and Adrian's like, man, like this girl's like, this is crazy, it's intense, just so that her secret doesn't get out there, right? So then she's like, all right, I brought him to you, Dr. Hale, like, what do you want with him? What do you want me to do? She's like, help me get him inside. Get him inside. She's like, that's it. I don't need you to help me do anything anymore. She's like, whoa, like, I want to know what you're going to do with him because I want to make sure that my back is covered. And Dr. Adrian's like, there's no need for that. Don't worry about it. I'm taking care of it. Everything's going to be handled. Just go on about your life. No one's going to know you were here. So she's just like, all right, whatever, I guess. And Patricia leaves. She makes some little comments or whatever. She takes off. So now Dr. Adrian just like looks at him and she lets him know, like, you ruined my life. Like, you didn't need to do this to me. You didn't need to do this to my boyfriend. You ruined my relationship. Like, everything has gone terribly wrong because of you. So then she throws Luke into that little place under the floorboards. She puts him down there and she just like duct tapes all of the top so he has no air, and she just sits there and waits till she doesn't hear anything anymore. So cut to Patricia. Patricia has just been like kind of on edge for the last like couple weeks. It's already about to be a month, or it is a month or so, and she's just been like looking and looking and looking, and like nobody's reporting this guy missing. Kind of like, okay, you know what? Nothing's come up, but I still don't like that I'm not really in control. Like, I don't like that this woman made me do this, Dr. Adrian. She's like, I don't like that she made me do this. Like, all of my other killings have been under my own terms. Like, there's just, I don't like this. It's been about 4 months since the entire situation with EJ. At the second month, she had like removed the duct tape from like where the body was, and the smell, it was just so bad that she's like, I had to air out the whole like house. Like, I couldn't have my patients there. It was rough, whatever. But her book is going well. Other than that, she's thriving in life. She just feels really good. She decides to go back to, she's been on a book tour, right? So now that she's home, she decides to go back to the clinic in the Bronx, and she's gonna see some patients or whatever. Well, Luke's there, and they see each other, and immediately Luke is like, I'm really sorry that I left when things got rough. It's just, I didn't want to get in any more legal trouble. And Adrian's like, I'm so sorry that I even put you through any of this. Like, please, like, let's just talk, and like, I want to see you. And so they do, and they agree that after work, because Adrian's going to be there a lot longer, that they're going to go to dinner. So she tells Luke, go home, do whatever you need to do. I'm going to go home and like change, and then you meet me out there, like, tonight. We'll go to dinner. We'll just like have a really good night, and everything's going to be great. Well, when she's leaving and she's getting out to the parking lot, she sees somebody. It's Patricia. Patricia's like, hey, we need to talk. And Adrian's like, dude, just leave. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just trying to see my man. So she kind of tells her, like, everything's going to be fine. Nobody's going to know about it. And Patricia's like, well, what'd you do with the body? Like, well, where is he? Like, he never came up. I know that you did something with him because it's been 4 months and I haven't seen anything and nobody found him. And she's like, nobody's gonna know. Like, only his mom knew that he was her patient because she doesn't take insurance. She was getting paid. There's no paper trail. The woman's dead. Like, it's fine. Like, no one's gonna know. So she's trying to like tell Patricia, like, it's fine, just go home. Like, no one's gonna know. And Patricia attacks her. She killed her, right? So now we go back to Patricia. And Patricia's just talking about like her first kill. Her first kill was a girl named Whitney that she was in high school with. And this girl was like just this mean bully. She had a boyfriend named Victor, but like Patricia didn't know that was her boyfriend. So like Victor asks Patricia out on a date, and it was just so that way Whitney could like have a bunch of friends there and be like, he didn't show up, and just like very mean, like horrible girl behavior, right? So her body washes up in a river, and that guy Victor ends up having to take the fall for it because nobody suspected that it was Patricia. And then she talks about killing Cody and Megan and Alexis, and revisits like the whole story about like her stabbing them or whatever. And then she goes into the situation with her grandmother and like mixing up the medications and all of that, right? On purpose so that she could get her money. So she ended up burying Adrian like 2 hours away on like some random little deserted road, and she's like, nobody's ever gonna find her. She's like, but I needed to set this up. I needed to be here and like have time. So she knew that there was gonna be a blizzard, and she set it up with Judy so that Judy didn't actually know that they were going at this time, because why would they if there was gonna be a blizzard? So it's just like all coming out that all of this was so that way Patricia could find the body or the clues or whatever. She really didn't know exactly what she was looking for. She had no idea about the tapes. Dr. Adrian never told her patients, like, you know, just what she was doing and like recording or whatever, because it's not illegal to record them. Ethan gets back, right? And she's like, oh my God, Ethan, like, are you okay? Like, it took you forever to get here. And he's like, yeah, I got some signal and I was able to get a hold of somebody to come out here and plow the snow out just so we can get out of here. He's like, but it was kind of weird because somebody had already called and paid. He's like, so I'm assuming it was Judy because, you know, who else? It was Patricia. But he's like, okay, whatever. And, you know, they're sitting there and he's like, look, we got to do something about this guy, Luke. Like, I don't know what, but we have to do something because we're going to have to go to sleep at some point. And Luke is like asking for water and he needs to go to the bathroom. And Ethan's like, hell no, like, you're a murderer. I'm not going to do that. Patricia asks Ethan, like, did you call the police? He's like, no, we'll take care of that. Let's just handle one thing at a time. Well, they end up just leaving Luke tied up and they go to sleep. Patricia wakes up, and again, it's like she doesn't really remember where she is. She's kind of like delirious, but Ethan's not next to her. So she goes downstairs and she sees him in the fireplace. He's got a fire going, and she's like, what are you doing down here? And she sees that there's something next to him. It's all the GW tapes, because he had already found out about the secret room, right? Earlier when she had like left it open or whatever before he left, he saw that it was like slightly like open and whatever, but he didn't make a big deal out of it because he just wanted to go and figure out how like they were gonna get out of there, and so he took off to get on the phone. So anyway, he's got the tapes next to him and they're all labeled GW, and that's when Patricia is kind of telling us that she already knew that Ethan was GW's son, Gail's son. She had seen him before because at some point he had dropped Gail off, but like it was just that one time. Like he really didn't remember the house like that. That's when Patricia saw him and she was obsessed. Like she was so like, he was just so gorgeous. So she kind of like wanted to like be in that, you know, circle or whatever. Well, Gail and Patricia's mom kind of ran in similar circles. So when she found out that Gail was dead, she's like, okay, like something happened here, right? So she ends up like stalking Ethan, and she just ran into him at a coffee shop, and it was all planned, right? her meeting with him. And she was just hoping that over time that they would get close enough that he would tell her, like, you know, I killed my mom. So now they're sitting there, they're looking at one another, and she sees him with the tapes, and he confesses. He's like, I did it. Like, yes, I did it. He's like, but you don't understand what it was like growing up with her. Growing up with her was like hell. He said, my dad passed away when I was really little, and living with her was just so awful. She was an alcoholic and paranoid, and she would always tell me I was such a terrible son and tell me mean things all the time, whatever. He's like, and it's just, I hated it. I hated her. So one day that she was really drunk, he pushed her down the stairs, he left, and then he waited like a full 24 hours to call the police and be like, I haven't heard from my mom, like, can somebody do a wellness check? And then he got the life insurance, and it all just really worked out for Ethan. So they're sitting and they're talking, and Patricia tells him everything, and he tells, you know, they have this moment, and he's looking at her and she's looking at him, and he's like, so what are we gonna do about this guy? Well, let's fast forward to 2 years later. 2 years later, they are living in the house. They have a beautiful garden in the backyard. They've got their 2-year-old little daughter, and Patricia's pregnant with another one. Everything just seems so perfect, right? They're just kind of sitting there and looking at one another, and there's just like this moment, right, where they're just so happy. And Patricia's talking about like just how lucky she is that she got this man that like really understands her, you know. He knows her secrets, she knows his. He's playing with their kid. And then she's thinking, well, if he ever gets a little nervous, or if he ever says anything, like insinuating she's gonna take him out too. And she even has like this little saying that she's like said in the book, that two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. So she uses that line again for her husband, poor Ethan. Yeah, that was the story. I guess it had a happy ending, but only for Ethan and Trisha, not so much for Luke and Dr. Hale. So if you made it this far, I hope that I was able to tell the story interestingly enough. I know I didn't include all of the little anecdotes and everything that's like makes this book as interesting as it is, but I just wanted to deliver the story and help you drift off to sleep if that's what you were doing, and if not, then I hope that you like the story. So I'll catch y'all in the next one, bookworms. Bye.